America used to build things that seemed impossible. In 10 years, it built the Empire State Building, the Hoover Dam, and the Golden Gate Bridge, all at the same time. In less than a decade, it put a man on the moon. But today, a single subway extension in New York takes 20 years and costs more per mile than anywhere else on Earth. A high-speed rail project in California has been under construction for over 15 years, and it still doesn't go anywhere. A bridge replacement that should take 3 years takes 12. What happened? The richest country in the history of the world somehow forgot how to build. You've probably felt this in your own life, even if you've never thought about it in these terms. You sit in traffic on a highway that hasn't been expanded in 30 years. You live in a city where the rent keeps rising, but new apartments keep getting blocked. You pay some of the highest infrastructure taxes in the developed world, and you still drive on roads full of potholes. In 2021, the United States passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. $1 trillion, the largest infrastructure bill in American history. And yet, 3 years later, most major projects hadn't broken ground. Not because of a lack of money, not because of a lack of desire, but because the system that was supposed to build things has become, almost by accident, a machine designed to stop them. This is not a story about lazy workers or corrupt politicians. It's a story about how modern institutions evolved, slowly, quietly, into something that makes it harder to build anything new than to protect whatever already exists. And once you understand this hidden rule, you'll see it everywhere. Meet Leo. Leo is 41 years old, a project manager for a mid-size construction firm in Sacramento, California. He's good at his job. He's managed commercial builds, school renovations, and small public contracts for 15 years. In 2019, his firm won a bid on a modest public project, a new affordable housing complex on a vacant city-owned lot. 60 units. The city needed the housing desperately. The lot was already cleared. Funding had been approved. Leo figured they'd break ground within a year. But first, the permits. Environmental review, 8 months. Traffic impact study, 4 months. Neighborhood notification period, 90 days. Then came the appeals. A local homeowners association filed a legal challenge, arguing the new building would affect neighborhood character. That triggered another review. Then a second appeal. Then a revision to the design, because the city council changed the required setback distance midway through the process. By the time Leo's crew finally broke ground, 4.5 years had passed. The original cost estimate had been $12 million. The final cost, $21 million. Not because materials got more expensive, not because the design got more complex, but because every month of delay costs money. Insurance, legal fees, holding costs, financing charges, expired contracts. Leo told me something that stayed with me. We didn't fail at building. We failed at waiting. And waiting is now most of the job. Here's the first hidden rule. The cost of building in America isn't mostly in the construction. It's in the permission. A 2020 study by transit researcher Elon Levy found that the United States spends 2 to 5 times more per mile on transit construction than comparable European countries. But it's not because American labor costs more, or because American concrete is more expensive. It's because the pre-construction phase, the planning, permitting, legal review, and public consultation process takes dramatically longer here than anywhere else. In Spain, a subway line can be permitted and designed in 2 years. In the United States, the same process routinely takes 8 to 12. In Japan, the Shinkansen bullet train network was expanded by hundreds of miles in the time it took California to complete one environmental review. Why? Part of the answer is a law called NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, passed in 1970. It was a genuinely good idea. Before major public projects moved forward, someone had to study their environmental impact. That was a reasonable requirement. But over 50 years, the process grew. Courts allowed broader and broader groups to sue over NEPA violations. Agencies responded by making reviews longer, because a longer review was harder to challenge in court. The average NEPA environmental impact statement today runs over 600 pages. In 1970, it averaged under 20. The law meant to protect the environment became, in practice, a mechanism that anyone could use to delay anything. A company trying to block a competitor's factory. A wealthy neighborhood trying to prevent affordable housing. A political group trying to stall a project they opposed for entirely different reasons. The tool meant to protect people became the tool that the already comfortable used to protect themselves. The second hidden rule is this. In modern democracies, the people who benefit from the status quo have far more power than the people who would benefit from change. Think about housing. In San Francisco, the median home price exceeds $1.3 million. That is not an accident. It is the predictable result of a system where existing homeowners, who benefit directly from rising prices, have strong legal and political tools to block new construction. A 2023 study from UC Berkeley found that in California's most expensive cities, over 60% of all development proposals faced at least one legal challenge before reaching the construction phase. The people filing those challenges are rarely environmental activists. They are neighbors, people who already own property, whose property values rise when housing stays scarce. This dynamic has a name. Economists call it NIMBY, not in my backyard. But it's more than a cultural attitude. It's a structural feature of how American local governance works. Zoning boards are dominated by homeowners. City councils are disproportionately populated by long-term residents with property interests. And the people who would benefit most from new housing, young renters, families who haven't yet been able to buy, are largely absent from these processes. Because they are busy. Because the meetings are at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Because the system rewards those with enough time and resources to participate. And the same logic plays out with roads, with transit, with energy infrastructure, with broadband. The Champlain-Hudson Power Express, an underground transmission line that would have brought clean hydroelectric power from Canada to New York City, spent 14 years in permitting before it was finally approved in 2022. 14 years of clean power delayed. Not because the technology didn't work, because the system made stopping it easier than building it. Here is the uncomfortable truth at the center of all of this. Modern America does not have a building problem. It has a veto problem. Political scientist Francis Fukuyama calls it vetocracy, a system where so many different actors hold the power to block decisions that nothing can move forward. The United States was designed with checks and balances. That was intentional. The founders were worried about concentrated power, about a government that could act too quickly, without accountability. And so they built a system with many veto points: federal law, state law, local zoning, environmental review, public comment, legal challenge, appeals courts. Each of these was created for a legitimate reason, but together they created a system that is extraordinarily good at stopping things. And over decades, interest groups, companies, unions, homeowners, advocacy organizations learned exactly how to use each veto point. Not necessarily to achieve good outcomes, but to protect their own position. Consider this. In the 1950s and 60s, the United States built the entire interstate highway system, 47,000 miles of highway, in roughly 15 years. Today, repaving a section of that same highway regularly takes a decade of planning approvals. It's not that the bureaucracy became more corrupt, it's that it became more complex. Each layer of review was added for a reason. Each new legal protection was won by a group that genuinely needed it. But the accumulated weight of all of these protections made the whole system nearly immovable. Like sediment building up over centuries. Not malicious, not designed. Just the slow, inevitable result of a system that kept adding without ever subtracting. There is a deeper pattern here that goes beyond roads and trains and buildings. It's about who the modern system serves. And the answer, when you look closely, is mostly the people who are already doing well. When housing doesn't get built, the people hurt most are young people trying to enter the market, lower-income families, and workers who can't afford to live near their jobs. The people helped are existing property owners, whose assets appreciate as scarcity increases. When transit doesn't get built, the people hurt most are those who depend on public transportation. Lower-income commuters, the elderly, people who can't afford cars. The people protected are those who already own cars and neighborhoods and don't want the disruption. When energy infrastructure gets delayed, the people paying for it, through higher electricity bills, through continued fossil fuel dependence, are households and small businesses. The people benefiting from the delay are often existing energy producers who face less competition. The pattern is consistent. The system doesn't intentionally punish people who are struggling. It's not designed to be cruel, but it is designed, structurally, to favor those with existing assets, existing standing, existing access to legal and political processes. And that means those without those things, they wait for housing that doesn't get approved. They wait for transit that doesn't get built. They wait for opportunity that gets buried in paperwork. Leo's 60 units of affordable housing eventually got built. But by the time they opened, the families who had been on the wait list in 2019 had mostly given up and moved. Some left the city entirely. The units opened. The need had moved somewhere else. There is a deeper pattern here that goes beyond roads and trains and buildings. It's about who the modern system serves. And the answer, when you look closely, is mostly the people who are already doing well. When housing doesn't get built, the people hurt most are young people trying to enter the market, lower-income families, and workers who can't afford to live near their jobs. The people helped are existing property owners, whose assets appreciate as scarcity increases. When transit doesn't get built, the people hurt most are those who depend on public transportation. Lower-income commuters, the elderly, people who can't afford cars. The people protected are those who already own cars and neighborhoods and don't want the disruption. When energy infrastructure gets delayed, the people paying for it, through higher electricity bills, through continued fossil fuel dependence, are households and small businesses. The people benefiting from the delay are often existing energy producers who face less competition. The pattern is consistent. The system doesn't intentionally punish people who are struggling. It's not designed to be cruel, but it is designed, structurally, to favor those with existing assets, existing standing, existing access to legal and political processes. And that means those without those things, they wait for housing that doesn't get approved. They wait for transit that doesn't get built. They wait for opportunity that gets buried in paperwork. Leo's 60 units of affordable housing eventually got built. But by the time they opened, the families who had been on the wait list in 2019 had mostly given up and moved. Some left the city entirely. The units opened. The need had moved somewhere else.